Welcome back to Furls Crochet. Today we're going to learn the trail stitch. We'll be using 2 hooks. Depending on your yarn, you'll just want to use one that's appropriate. We'll use a 1 size larger hook for our initial starting chain, and then we'll use 1 size smaller for our remaining chain. And so I'm going to start with the larger hook. With this pattern, we're going to start in a chain that's multiples of 4 plus 1. So I'm going to be doing 12 plus 1, which will be 13 stitches. That's 12 plus 1 will take us to 13. So I've used a larger hook so that we have some nice big loose stitches so we won't have that stiff starting row. So I'm going to switch to the smaller hook. Alright, so this is going to be our extended single crochet. We're going to start with our first stitch 2 stitches in from our last chain, so that'll be 1, 2. So you're going to insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through, that's your extended, and then you're going to finish out a regular single crochet, yarn over, pull through 2. So this is going to be a taller, fluffier stitch, but still about the same size as your regular single crochet. So let's do it again. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2. So we're going to do this all the way across the row. This first row might curl up on you a little bit. That's okay. If you keep your stitches nice and loose, you'll have less curling and it'll be easier to get that to lay down. And then we're at our end. Now, because I'm going to be keeping this color on the next row, we're going to go ahead and finish out this stitch. And we're going to chain up 1. If I was changing colors on this next row, I would have already done that, but we'll do that here in a moment. All right, so that is our first row after our chain, and that is what your extended single crochet looks like. So this next row will be very similar, except that we are going to be anchoring these stitches in the front loop only. So if you look at the top of your stitches, you always have that little V that forms. So this is 1, 2, 3 stitches here. This loop that's closest to you is going to be your front loop. And we will only be anchoring our stitches in that front loop for this next row. So we're going to be doing the same stitch, but only anchoring it in the front loop. Now before I turned my piece, I chained 1 and then I flipped this over. Whenever you're doing single crochets or extended single crochets, you're going to put your first stitch into where you just chained up. That's often where new crocheters will drop a stitch because they skip over and it bunches up. So don't forget that we're actually going in here. So we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So that is our first extended single crochet in that row. Now we're going to go again into the front loop only. We're going to do this all the way across. And our final. When in doubt, count your stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now my next row is actually going to be another color, so I'm going to pull out this last stitch here till I just have 2 of my last 2 loops on my hook still. I'm going to trim this and then we're going to add our next color. And then we're going to chain 1. Now we're going to start the next part of our pattern. Alright, so this next part of our pattern in row 3, we will be doing the extended single crochet and then we're going to do an extended single crochet. So let me do the first repeat of this pattern and then I will talk a little bit more about that extended single crochet. So don't forget, in our first stitch, we've already chained up 1. We're doing the front loop only still. So you're going to insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. That's our extended single crochet. We're going to do this 2 more times. That's 2. And 3. All right, so now here's the exciting part. Not only are we doing an extended single crochet, but we're actually going to be anchoring it down here in a lower front loop. That's why we were in the front loop only before, so we have access to those stitches now. This would normally be our next stitch, but we're actually going to connect at its partner, its neighbor down here, way down here in this front loop. So we're going to anchor through here. So this is our inserting our hook. We're going to yarn over like we did before. We're going to pull through once, yarn over, pull through twice. That's our extended. Then we're going to yarn over, pull through 2. So that makes that stitch nice and long, and it's building that interesting part of our pattern. Now we're going to make sure that we do not use the stitch behind it, because we want all our stitches to line up, and then we're going to go back into the front loop only of the next stitch back with our extended single crochet. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, back to a regular extended single crochet. We're going to do that 3 times. And now we're going to do that extended single crochet. That's our next stitch. There's its neighbor down below. Insert your hook into that loop. 1, 2, and then that 3rd pull through. So a nice long stitch. So see how we're building this oval here. And then back to the extended single crochet. 2 and 3, and then our final stitch in our repeat is actually going to go down here, anchoring 1, 2, and 3. So that's the core of that pattern. See how it's building a nice texture, and you're getting that drop down stitch that gives you your pattern. All right, so we're going to switch colors again. You can do this again all in one color, or choose how you want to alternate your colors, and you'll find that this pattern will give you a lot of variation depending on your color sequences. So we're finishing that final stitch with our new color, so it's just changing colors. We're going to chain 1 and then turn our work. So now we're on the back side of the piece, and you'll notice with this trail stitch pattern, your backs are just going to be striped. If you're alternating colors, and then your right side is where you're going to build that really interesting color change. So this row will just simply be our extended single crochet again. So this one looks a little off to me at first. That's why I'm counting. On the front, it's going to look correct because these stitches do pull themselves in different directions because we're building that really nice pattern. So that is the end of our row. So now we've got another row here. And I'm going to alternate again. All right, so we're going to chain 1, turn your work. So now we're going to go back to our rows that have our drop down stitches. Now these alternate, so when you're looking at the pattern, this row is the same as the original second row, but now that we're going into our 5th row, the directions are actually going to change. So make sure you're counting so that you get the nice offset of your pattern. So for this one, we're going to chain 1, which we've already done and turned our work. We will again be working into the front loop only with an extended single crochet. So here's our first extended single crochet. And then we're going to do our extended single crochet on our next stitch. This allows us to have this drop down offset in this next row, so we have an alternating pattern as it repeats. So here's our next stitch. We're going to anchor here. So insert your hook, yarn over once, yarn over, pull through twice. That's your extended single crochet, and then finish that stitch. You'll know if you didn't do it enough times because it'll pull and it'll be too tight. All right, so skipping that stitch behind it, and then we're going to do 3 extended single crochets in the front loop only. That's 1, that's 2, and that is 3. And you can see how this now puts us in position to have a drop down stitch in the next row. The great thing about this pattern is once you get a feel for it, you don't necessarily need to do a lot of counting, because as you look at your pattern, you will see where that next stitch needs to go, which is nice to not have to constantly be counting and recounting. So we're going to do our extended single crochet again, down here, 1, 2, and then that third one. So now we have this nice window pattern here. Don't forget to skip here, and then you're going to go into the front and do 3 more extended single crochets. And then even without counting, I can see it's now time to do our next extended single crochet. Skipping that stitch there. And then this row we'll finish off with just the extended single crochet. And that is your trail stitch pattern. Have fun playing with your color alterations, and you will find that the pattern looks different.